Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. I'm your host, Jasmine Neely, and today we have an episode of the TopCats Era series celebrating 30 years of the TopCats. My guests today are legends and original TopCats, Nicole Smith and Denise Porter. Welcome, ladies.
Hey, Jasmine. Thank you for having us.
Hi, Jasmine. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. So I want to start with giving our audience some background about who you are, when you danced as a Top Cat, and any notable experiences or achievements that you had while you were a Top Cat or even after your dancing years as a Top Cat. And after that, I want to know what you've kind of been up to since retirement. So let's start with you, Nicole.
Right. Yes, you mentioned that I was part of the inaugural squad in '96. I cheered 4 seasons and was selected to go to Pro Bowl that year. I did retire after Pro Bowl and served 1 year as a field assistant, and the position of choreographer became available, and I applied, and I was a coach from 2001 through 2009. Then I had not a few, I had two little girls. And then I was home until the 2012 season when I went back for game day entertainment. And then in 2017, I was asked to come in as a guest choreographer and to do junior top cats and to help with some technique. And that maternity leave turned into a long tenure into 2020. So I went through, you had asked us kind of to put on paper exactly our time with the Panthers, and I was there for 21 years. So, in some capacity, I was there for quite a long time.
Wow, that is amazing, amazing tenure there. Even though there were breaks and things, that was so cool to hear. How about you, Denise?
I also was on the inaugural squad with Nicole in '96, and I cheered for 10 consecutive seasons. I went to the Pro Bowl in 2002. I believe that's what it was. Yes, in Hawaii. And I mean, I do like to say I'm the only girl that cheered 10 consecutive seasons from the inaugural squad. So that's kind of a little kudo for me, I guess.
Yeah, wow.
After I retired, I started doing makeup for the Top Cat squad. Did that for several years and then became a stay at home mom. And I've been doing that and volunteering in the community.
That's amazing. And I'm learning a lot here when I interview former Top Cats that especially those that come from the inaugural squad, that 10 years was like a norm, it seemed like, and in the 90s and the early 2000s. So the fact that you could do that for 10 years is incredible. I don't know that I could have. I'm just being honest, but that's incredible to hear.
I always said that I would do it as long as they brought me back until it wasn't fun anymore. And then that never happened. It
Yeah.
just was not fun. And so I just sort of said 10 is a good round number and I'm going to pick it and I'm just going to do it. And that's
Yeah, that's
Jasmine,
great.
to add to that 10-year amazing accomplishment, in our original contract, it was only allowed for us to cheer 5 seasons. And as those 5 seasons got closer, it was reevaluated because there were amazing people that wanted to continue on. Our Super Bowl year, we only had two rookies on our team. It was just the tenure there was not a lot of turnover. We just wanted to keep staying, which was a wonderful thing in the locker room.
Yeah, that is a wonderful thing, and it goes to show, like, how those relationships can grow over time. If you're on a team with somebody for that amount of time, then I mean, look at you 2. It seems like you are both really close and you're friends, and you've been friends for years, even after Top Cat. So that's, I think, I mean, a lot of people do this because they want to gain friendships, and I think it's an incredible way to do so. So that's really interesting that it was only 5 years, though, that you could be on the team. I think it's kind of gone back to that.
Yes, didn't it happen as we got closer to that 5th year, they reevaluated that? that part of our
Yeah.
contract.
Interesting. So you both are part of the inaugural squad and have also held additional roles within the organization after your time as Top Cats dancers. So, in your opinion, how have the Top Cats evolved since you started on the team? What have been some of those biggest differences that you've noticed or been a part of?
I think when we first started, people didn't know who we were. We were, when you would be introduced, you would often hear us called the, girl next door. Or, we were just, we weren't flashy and we weren't what the stereotype of a professional cheerleader was. And so I think we were all very proud of that we kind of put that stereotype to rest, that it's not all just, glitz and glamour and these girls don't do anything outside of dance on the field. So I should say, though, that's the one thing that has not changed from when we started is the caliber of person and the character of person that represents our squad. We always have people that are very highly talented, highly intelligent, hold jobs outside of being a top cat, have multiple jobs outside of being a top cat, can be a parent outside of being a top cat. So while your question was what's different, I was just thinking about what has stayed consistent.
We're celebrating 30 years this year. And while I was on my anniversary trip and didn't get to perform that weekend, there was a performance that had 30 years of uniforms. I think just seeing uniforms evolve through the years. While in my tenure, we had several uniforms that I've seen evolve from just a sketch on a paper to a uniform on person, just so to see that transformation, and just to see how, some teams have an iconic one look, but that's the great thing about Top Cats is there's so many different uniforms that we have, and we have to have because of our outdoor stadium. And just to watch the videos of the 30 years of uniforms was something that was really special.
Yeah, I have to add that was incredible to watch. I didn't even know there were some uniforms that I saw that I never got a chance to wear. And I was like, "Wait, we have that? We have the black? We have the
Yeah.
black, like, two-piece and the black pants?" I was like, "Wait,
And
what?
you know
Where'd
what
that
was
come
so
from?"
You should have
special?
thought about us older girls. We had one uniform the first year with a jacket.
And Jasmine,
Mm.
we wore Reebok tennis shoes and we called them Tic Tacs because in the up in the 500 level, you look down on the field and all you see is these little white sneakers moving around and we would put divots in the field because we had a team of 35. So they were in lines of 7 and you would be little divots where we would dance. And so grounds crew was like, okay, can you move a little shift? And this is like when Tom Vaughn just absolutely loved the grass and kept it so beautiful. So we had to make sure we were moving around it, but we still created those 7 divots in every 4 corner of the stadium.
Because it was natural grass back then, and so definitely, yeah, did some divots, that's for sure. I would say something else that was different from when we first started was, style of dance. When we first started, it was more a collegiate-based sort of style, I would say. It was more of a cheer dance, sort
Very
of
palm focused.
very palm-focused. We actually did do some stunting. But then when Nicole became choreographer, we turned into some jazzy dancers. And I had many, many people compliment on, they thought we were good before, but when Nicole took over the reins as choreographer, that there was such a change that we were so joyful to watch. So kudos to Nicole because she really did put a stamp on the top cap.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I just deliver the material. It's the Top Cats that bring it to the field and bring it to life for the fans. So that's always it's always wonderful to sit back and just watch it evolve, and to see the teams take your material and make it come alive to entertain our fans.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, Denise, and I'll just have to give Nicole her flowers too because you were part of that shift and that change at that time, and just being able to also be under you as a top cat and you as my coach, I think it just shows how, your your stamp on that organization as a coach and as a choreographer has, been just iconic, if I had to say the least. I think that's incredible what you've been able to do and bring your talent of choreography to the organization, and, yeah, so I just wanna say that as well. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. And you came in, I want to say, I remember you in 2017, and just to see you evolve as a dancer, and just it's interesting to see someone come in and not have, whether you're coming straight out of college and new to the industry, and just see the evolved as a person, just from this dance style to all that's involved in being a part of the organization, from the look to the nutrition to the fitness to all that has to be put into it, and watch someone evolve from their rookie season or their very first time trying out to being like you, a captain on the team. It's just that transition is and watch you evolve. And it's, when you think about it, it's not just that person evolving, it's how many ever number that, most of the time it was 35 when I was coaching, seeing them everyone evolve at once is just, it's such a beautiful thing to see. And you don't think that it's happening to you because you're living it, and everyone around you, you're just taking it all in, and you become a part of this like moving team, this team that just evolves together, and you are moving forward, and this the same progress as far as the look and the hair and the makeup and the fitness, and it's like you rally around each other and say, hey, you should try this, or this works for me. So that's what true team is, I think. And you mentioned before my relationship with Denise. She's one of my best friends, and we were in each other's weddings. We've seen, we've held each other's newborn babies. And so it's what starts as just being a part of a team evolves so much beyond the locker room. And that's the value that you take into your and growth into the world and to your friendships.
And that's something I remember you would always say in the locker room, Nicole, is that the friendships are super important and you wanna take those beyond just the locker room. So, I think, yeah, it's super important to do that when you're evolving as Top Cat and just evolving as a woman. I think a lot of people can attest to that. You grow up as a woman, a lot of times we're in our 20s when we're on the team, and 20s for a lot of women are times of, like, transition and transformation. So I think that having that outlet is something that I think, like you said, you don't realize when you're in it, but after you leave or retire, you're like, "Wow, I learned so much from that experience, and I can apply it to these areas of my life." So, Denise, you had mentioned Purr's Pals, and I never heard about that before.
It
So, were these dancers for Sir Purr?
actually was only for a few years, actually. I think that Riley Fields came up with it. I think it was either Riley or it was Purr himself, but I'm pretty sure it was under Riley's direction. Purr's Pals was a community relations program, and basically what it was people like Make-A-Wish, or people that were fan of the year or stuff like that. They were given pregame passes, and you were able to go on the field for pregame. You got to interact some even with the players when were doing pregame warm up. You stood right there on the field. You got to hang out, watched everybody warm up. And then right after the national anthem, they would be taken up to a suite that was also gifted to them for the day to watch the football game. And I was the person that escorted them and took them every game after I retired. It was really good. The kids like look at these players, and they're just, role models, and just so excited. And it's just, you think it's something that's little, but it's something these kids will remember forever.
Yeah. Was it a group of Top Cats, or it was just you?
I was the person that would take them onto the field and take them up to the suite and make sure that they had everything they needed before the game started. And so, yeah, it was just a single position.
And y'all,
Yeah.
isn't it so interesting? All that goes on even before the kickoff at 1 p.m. or whatever
Absolutely.
kickoff is. But most of the time at Bank of America Stadium, it was always 1 p.m. in my years. But just all that goes into just us alone of our call time of being, sometimes there were 5 a.m. call times and because you're prepping and because you've got to be back for hair and makeup and then our food is delivered and then we have to go out to suites and do all of pregame things. So just adding that portion of, with entertainment from national anthem and all the things that go into a full game day experience and that being, the with the service you were doing, Denise, is allowing those children to have that type of experience is behind the scenes is really fun. I mean, when you think about it, our locker room and all the access that we had to just the stadium and the bowl and the service elevator of getting up to our appearances, all of those little special perks that we have that it was just part of our everyday life that
Right.
we, now that you sit in the stands and watch a game and you're like,
I get it.
that was really cool things that we used to have access to. And you don't think of it back then. You're just like, "Oh, this is part of the job."
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally, absolutely do. I always think it's so funny how, people are like, "Oh, do you know so and so?" And there's always been, and I'm sure that there probably still is, the Panthers have the no fraternization between cheerleaders and players and whatnot. And it just wasn't something we ever really thought about. There are squads that do allow that, but it was just never anything we thought about. I just thought it was, I work there, they work there.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, that's so and so. I'm like, he throws the ball. I mean, it wasn't like Nicole said, you don't notice it when you're living it. It's just part of your daily life. And then you become outside of that and you're like, oh, okay, I get why people think that's kind of cool. I get it. So
Yeah.
yeah, really interesting. Such a blessing to have been able to do it.
Yeah, and that's a unique experience too because you're really I mean, if I had that position, I felt like I would really be giving back to the community and just like hands-on kind of approach. So, I think that's such a unique opportunity and I hope that they bring that back. If they don't, I don't know that I've heard of it being brought back, but maybe they do something like that these days. You just like we've all said, we don't know. We're kinda like on the outside now.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to hear if they have something like that now.
Jasmine, during your time, what was the book initiative that we did in the community where we would go into the classroom to read books? And then during COVID, I think you may have been one of them that did the actual virtual reading of a book for schools whenever everyone was virtual learning. I was there during those COVID years, which we made a lot of pivots,
Yes, we did.
but it was
I
part
don't
of the community literacy group.
yeah.
It will come to me. I just can't think of it right
I
now.
remember that program, I don't remember the exact name of it, and I don't know that I did the virtual meetings, but I do remember when we did them in person, I believe. But yeah, stuff like that, it would be specific appearances, and you feel like you were really giving back to the community, especially when you could, like, put your palms down and actually use your hands and do something. I think those experiences are, really important, but just in terms of game day, like you both said, there's so much going on, it's like the fact that you can take time out of your game day experience to give back in that way, I think just adds another layer onto, that little kid's experience or that person's experience during a game, so,
You create a
yeah.
fan forever, a
Exactly,
lifelong fan.
and we also had the what was it? The Isabella Santos Foundation. Yeah, that was a huge initiative that we had too, so do you remember she had her dedicated locker in the locker room?
Can see her little picture in that locker.
I know, me
And
too.
just vision that, and, we did not ever fill that space in my time there. I know that the Top Cat locker room has made some rearrangement and adjustments through the cubes, and I think you call them quads maybe, I'm not really sure, but I know when I was still there, those black lockers were there, and Isabella's little photo had a forever spot right in that back right-hand corner.
Yep, she was
Opposite of where the old payphone used to be when we had a payphone in the locker room in 19
payphone.
It was a payphone.
pre
What?
yes, payphone pre
All about
pre-cell phone, back whenever we had bag phones. You remember bag phones, Denise?
Yes, we got the first time I got a cell phone, it was because the stadium used to be called Ericsson Stadium, and Ericsson was a cell phone company, and they gave all the cheerleaders cell phones. And that was the first time I'd ever had a cell phone. Like before that, it was, yeah, we were using the payphone in the locker room.
I remember
Wow.
getting an email address because of Panthers. And that was back whenever, for many years on finals, it was not an email. You didn't receive, not told you were a part of the team via email. It was live. And you're in a room with half of the girls who don't make the team, and you're celebrating and running forward, and then there's another group that has to step away, and when it's part of your dream, it's so hard to celebrate and be excited for yourself and your teammates and see people that you've gone through the tryout audition with have to step away and it not be their year. So that was always really hard. And so you want to be excited for yourself and all the hard work you've put in, but yet your heart still goes out to people who are still wanting to be a part of that team too.
Yeah, I
Yes,
agree.
that was the email address.
That was real. That was, I remember that, Nicole. That was really hard. I think we did that like the first 7 seasons where it was right after finals. You waited for like 2.5 hours and they came back in and then called you, and you either were still seated or were picked. And it was really, I mean, like Nicole said, you wanted to be so happy for yourself, but then you were just, really, really sad for those that it just wasn't their time at the time. So, but yeah, we didn't start the
Yeah.
private notification for a really long time.
I
Yeah.
will tell you, I had an amazing mentor in Leslie Matz, and she gave me the best advice that I will take for with me, and I did into roles much further into my first few years of coaching. Is it was a night that at that 2.5 hour wait when we were coming down to final decisions, and you both know Leslie, and she's very business minded, always a professional. And I was having a hard time. And she gave me the advice and she said, Nicole, you have to take your heart out of this at the moment. This is a business and you have to make a decision based on that. And just prepping it and listening to and learning more about your imperfect cheerleader. I listened to one of the podcasts on, I think it was 161, talked about what coaches and wanting feedback and what coaches go through at making those final decisions. And as much as we make a business decision, your heart will always be in it. And even Leslie, she came from Philadelphia from the Eagles, and she just said, you have to make a business decision. It's hard, and sometimes you have to move forward leaving that heart behind. And that was some of the best advice in my beginning years as a coach, because that's just, it can be hard making those decisions.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially as a coach. And I want to transition into when you became a coach, Nicole. Tell us about that moment that you first became the Top Cats coach. Was this something that you aspired for?
It's been so long ago when I saw that question. I'm like, I really need to sit in this for a moment and just figure this out, because it honestly happened very quickly. I was in at in Hawaii at the Pro Bowl, and this was when John Peters and Jay Hayworth had that week was very transforming for me. And I think a lot of those girls in the younger years, I think I was the fourth girl to go to Pro Bowl. Those years, that program really in a week really makes you pinpoint who you are, what you want to do with your life. I remember sitting at a breakfast, and they would go round table asking questions, and Jay literally looked at me and she's like, "What do you want to do next year?" And it just came out of me. I was like, "I want to choreograph for an NFL team." And she's like, "What one?" And I was like, fine. He was like, and but at the time, I was like, I know that isn't a possibility. But I knew when I got home, I needed to retire because this was back when um, Leslie was, wanted our choreographer to have a separate life from the girls on the team. All of my best friends were on the team. So I knew I needed a year of separation. And in that year, it just evolved that the door opened and I was able to apply. I did not have any coaching experience in the league. So for me, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to compete in this industry with people that were, had more experience than I did. My saving grace was I had experience within the organization. I knew what that game day rotation was. I knew what the schedule was. I knew what Leslie's expectations were. So the learning curve on that was minimal. And it allowed me kind of just to spread my wings because Leslie gave me an opportunity to take something that was a lot more palm style and turn it into a different, more jazzy approach to movement on the field. So I remember when she called, and I think I was more in shock because I knew who I was I hate to say competing, but who they were also considering. And I was just, like I said, in shock but so grateful, so very grateful and was ready to take on the role. And I felt like I had enough time away. And I will tell you, it was hard, Denise, wasn't it? Because I would not go and do things with all of my circle of friends because I knew what does it look like to the other girls on the team who I'm not as close with? Does it look like I'm showing favoritism? And that was huge for me. So I will say I had to take a step back in my personal life to grow professionally. But when the bond of friendship is there, those true friends understand. So that was that was kind of so the shock, but I was so thrilled. And I was young. I wasn't even married yet. So I was really, really young. 26, I want to say. 26 years old. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you talked about the major one of those major differences between being on the team and having your close friends, just being, like, friends with them and being a top cat alongside them, and then transitioning to being a coach. What other differences did you notice about yourself or about the different roles coming from top cat to choreographer and coach?
Well, I'm gonna push to Denise and ask her what her experiences was like for that. I remember just feeling sometimes so guilty. I'm like, gosh, and this was back social media or any maps that could tell you your location, and I almost felt like I was like cheating on friendships. I'm like, well, we can't tell her that we're doing this. It's going to hurt because it would hurt her feelings, but I can't do this with her. So what was your perspective like for that, Denise?
It was a little hard. It was because it was that year as well. Um, Tina transitioned the year before that into the office. And so we were all very tight. And some of the girls had retired. And so, like, there was a point where I was the only current top cat and everyone else was doing something else in the organization, whether they were a field assistant or they were the choreographer coach or they were Leslie's assistant. And so it was really hard because, it is really important that people see that separation, but it was hard. I mean, there's a picture all of them have. They
The
went to
Dallas.
the game
I
and
see
I'm
that
not,
picture. I'm like, why is Denise? We should have taken a flat, Denise.
I know, and I am not in it. And I'm like, every one of them has that photo and I'm not in that photo just because they went as part of the Panthers organization. But I would go as the Top Cats because the Top Cats always went to some away games during the year on our own time. I mean, it wasn't like put together by the Top Cats. We just did it on our own. And so I would be there, but I couldn't be with them. So it was, yeah, that was that was pretty interesting. And also, I had to act like I didn't know them as well as I did, which was kind of hard.
Say that changed
Yeah.
a lot. That culture shift a lot. I call it my first and second tenure. I think in my second tenure, I was much older and I say much older. I was older and at a different stage of life. I had two very young children. So I say priorities shift as you get older. Like when I was in that first tenure and I was so young, I also had a full-time job with an investment banking group. It was really hard hours, just, but you're young and you can push through. I could not imagine doing that with two children that young. So the second tenure, it shift, and I felt like more of a mentor than an equal. And I think the shift was not that I never truly cared about lives outside of the locker room. It was just there was everyone I was living that same age group with that same age group. And when you're older and a mentor and you're looking to see where, you know, current Top Cats lives can evolve, that you really invest in what are you doing outside of the locker room? What is your career path? So it was a different time, a different season for me. So different perspectives because, you always care about them. It's just looking at it through a different lens.
Yeah. Oh, it's so interesting to hear the different perspectives, and then, Denise, how you were during that time with being Nicole's friend, but also her being, the choreographer and coach. So that's, so fascinating to hear. So thank y'all for sharing that.
And I will say, it takes so much to dedicate 10 years of your life to that.
Mm.
And when I talk epitome of a top cat, Denise, you are that. You literally were so professional. You never crossed the line. Um, there was, a level of standard that you held yourself to. And that was back when Jasmine, we had things called counseling statements back in the day, and it was part of our rules and regulations. And on the second offense of a particular rule,
Right.
you were yes, it was a demerit, and wasn't the second offense? It was you were not allowed to cheer on game day. But and I will say it was a very strict program,
Was.
but it from grassroots, with it being that way, it established such great dedication and loyalty. And you think it was just teaching us things in the locker room and following rules and regulations. It was teaching us how to be good citizens too. And so it just,
And how
you,
to take it out into the career world too.
yes,
We
like
were we
you
were
were
treated
never
as
late.
employees.
Being late was not even in your vocabulary.
Yeah.
That was not a part.
I mean, now granted, yes, it was fun, but it was not fun times. It was you were I mean, it was like we were considered and they would tell us, "Y'all are part-time employees." And that's what we were. And of course, because they'd never had cheerleaders, previously, it was really it was very much run like a business. And like Nicole said, I mean, I think that was a perfect stepping stone to how to grow the program just because it could have gone off the rails if it was all fun and games to begin with. But I mean, we all really did. We learned a really hard work ethic and we learned to put in our all and hold ourselves to a really, really high standard because I think we knew as those years went on, since we were in that grouping that girls stayed for a long time, that we were, setting the stage for who was coming next. And so I think we all thought that was really important.
Yeah, definitely setting that standard, and you can never get too comfortable. You have to stay on your toes when
I'll
you're
tell you,
yeah.
that was always nerve-wracking because you had to audition year after year after year, and that's when you get close to that end of the season because we would have a beginning, mid, and end of season reviews, and I always felt like you knew whether or not you would like to be invited back into the locker room. as much as confidence as you would have in that, you would still get to that point like, "I'm not gonna make it." So every year, it was like the nerves of just because and the first year you don't know anything, so you're just like and then you could potentially not make it, and you're like, "I know how much I have to lose," like, being a
Right.
part of the locker room and my teammates, and so it weighs a little heavier.
Yeah.
Every year you start questioning, "Oh goodness, did I
Yeah.
do everything okay?"
Yeah. Well, and then there was the year I went to the Pro Bowl because it had been historically the girl I was the 6th girl to go, I think. So historically, before me, each girl had retired after Pro Bowl. And I had always believed that I was just supposed to retire after Pro Bowl. But I had that experience. I wouldn't say the same experience because Nicole's was 2 years before mine, but I had a very enlightening experience in Hawaii for that week as well. I mean, it completely changed me as a person. And I mean, the growth in that week alone was just, I was really surprised. And I came back instead of saying I hit the pinnacle and now I'm done, I wanted to share everything that I learned that week, and everything that was motivating me then. And so, yeah, so I actually went into auditions saying I was not trying out. And then the night before, because, at the beginning, because we didn't do video, obviously, back in the day, video submissions. So we all did preliminaries, but we got a pass to semis. So we would just perform. Um,
Oh,
so next day was semifinals. And I had said I wasn't auditioning. And that whole night, I was like, it doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right. And so I had to call Leslie that morning and ask her, was it possible to try out? And she said, yes, but I thought for sure I was going to get cut because she might have thought I was being wishy washy or something. But yeah, that was a moment for sure.
On that, this is sad note. Was that the night that I cut my head open? Uh-huh.
Mm,
Yes. Okay,
okay.
so I don't know if you what I don't care if you share this. This will be a testament to true friendship. Yes. Okay. So I was living with a girl named Kelly, and this was back when Friends was this huge, Friends. It's just everybody watched it. Well, I had a picture frame of the Friends picture frame on the back of the purple door. But instead of putting it on my door, I had it hooked up on a window. And I lived in an old home out in Dilworth area. And I thought it was secure, and I went to lift the window, and I was on the phone with Denise, and I lifted the window, and the picture frame fell right on top of my head right here.
Corner.
And I was on the phone. I said, "Can I call you back?"
Sure, I
And
heard terrible crash.
so she shows up at my door with another one of our best friends. They have to take me to the ER to get my head stitched up. And of course, tryouts are the next morning. And I remember, y'all, and I know I had a lot of gunk in my head. And this woman put my head over a sink and washed my hair to get all of this out so I could look amazing for auditions the next morning. And this conversation started of like, why don't you? Like, why don't you come back? Like, there's not a reason. Give us the reasons why you shouldn't come back.
Yeah.
And she didn't have any. And
No,
I'm
the
like,
only reason I
we're
had
like,
was I thought
done.
I'm supposed to. I thought I was supposed to retire. That's all I could give you. I couldn't give you anything else. So yes, and I felt really, really lucky that I was able to re-audition that year. That
And
was
that
huge.
was what, 6 more no, 5 more years?
That was
A lot more years.
four, yeah, it was. It was
Very loyal.
4 more seasons.
so you went to Pro Bowl and during your 6th season,
I did.
Denise? Okay.
I went to
Wow.
Pro Bowl in 2002. Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, I love these stories. These are such great
Thank you for
stories.
having us because we
Yeah.
don't talk about this stuff that much.
Yeah, I love it, and I would never hear about these stories unless we had these this
Yeah.
conversation, so and it's gonna be shared with so many people, so yeah, that's incredible. Friendship, and then also something both of you said just reminded me about yeah, a great leader, somebody on the team that's a great director and a great coach or choreographer or whoever's leading the organization. I think one of the traits is you never know, at least for me, I feel like if I never know where I stand with my coach, that might be a good thing, but it doesn't feel that great at first. But sometimes it's like when the coach has that standard and she has the high standard for a team, you are kind of like, well, I don't know really what she feels about how she feels about me. But I think that's the way to keep a team on your toes, and, that's something that both of you kind of hinted at when you were talking about being on the team and re-auditioning, and you just never know where you stand, and I think that a lot of top cats or women on teams kinda feel that way sometimes. I think it's a true testament to leadership too, because you have to draw that line and be clear about, "This is what I expect from the people on my team, and I also care about you." Denise, I wanna get into your time as a makeup artist for the Top Cats. That's incredible.
It was super fun. That kinda happened by happenstance. I used to, I would always help while I was a top cat. I would always help the other top cats get ready. And at the time, there were makeup people, and all makeup people are great, but sometimes they didn't understand the NFL look, maybe I should say. And so sometimes they would come out of having seen the makeup person and be crying. And so then I would help the girl
I am thinking of a few occasions. It's not fun.
and I would
You were so good. Oh, Denise, you were so amazing.
always, okay, I don't know, is it still there, the funhouse mirror? Is it still there?
Yes. Well, I it was the last time I was in the locker room,
Okay,
last
you know the mirror
auditions.
where you're walking from, like, where the lockers are, but you're walking into the bathroom, there's that big wall mirror right there, Jasmine? Okay,
With the refrigerators.
Yes, I know
yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
So I would sit there and do my makeup every game. For 10 years, I sat there. Hey,
Mm.
well, you know, makeup is done in that room off to the side, right behind you. And so girls would come out and they would just look at me and I'd be like, uh-oh. And so I would pull them aside and I would help fix it or whatever. And I'd always loved makeup. Like makeup was just my thing. And then we had a girl who cheered just the first year, Cindy Crosby, and she had started doing makeup with her cousin because her cousin was married to a photographer. So she started doing makeup. And so then I went and sort of apprenticed under her when she would do weddings. And then it turned into she couldn't make some weddings. So after I would go to practice on a Saturday, I would go do a wedding. And then after I left Top Cats, I was brought on first, I think it was for headshots. I think it might have been. And because I understood the look that they were going for. And so then that segued into game day makeup. A couple of years, it was just myself and Cindy that did it. But then the years when they had a salon group, they would join in, but we would still be there as freelance. And then after I had both kids, it just got to be a lot to be there that time in the morning. It's, you got to get there like 7 in the morning and then you have 2 littles. It's not the best,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so after my kids were born and they were kind of in the, who around stage, then I gave that up.
But I
That's
still called her
incredible.
last week to do, makeup for a Top Cat hopeful,
So
and I
you
even
still do
asked
makeup?
another girl who was auditioning for Carolina Girls. I'm like, "Okay, would you do a little glam, game day glam for a couple of friends?"
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is I don't do it like professionally anymore, but if someone, and it's usually for someone obviously that I'm good friends with, but I'll do like somebody will say, "Hey, I was a kid in a wedding you did 10 years ago. Would you consider doing it?" And I'm like, "Okay." And so, like, it's few and far between. I would say I probably still do makeup for something, whether it be a party or a gala or photo shoot or a wedding, probably a couple of times a year still. So, and it's
Okay.
always when it
Yeah.
comes around like this time of year, I get a
Mhm.
lot of questions where like I'll have someone come and I'll just do like a run through with them, like at my house, and
Mhm.
just say to them, because like I no longer have my makeup kit. So I'm just like, listen, you need to bring what you have. And then I show them how to use what they have so that they're able to do it themselves.
How do you achieve the look that you're talking about?
Well,
The NFL look?
well, and I think that that has evolved a lot as well. Back in the day, it was glue on lashes, and now everybody has lash extensions. And in the early years, it was less is more because we were trying to grow our fan base. We wanted to look like the sweet neighbor next door. But then as we started getting a little jazzier, a little glitzier, our stuff got more rhinestones on it. We got to wear a two-piece and boots
That was the
and boots. And so then it started to get where I got to have a little bit more fun with the look, and but I would say, like, for right now, I've had a couple of girls call me and ask me questions about the look. And what I always say is you want to accentuate your best feature. You don't want to accentuate everything because then you just look like there's just too much going on. But to find someone that you like their look and try to mimic it. I also suggest practicing it several times before you're going to clinic auditions. Just so, because people that don't wear makeup don't understand, like, it might get itchy. You might start to sweat. It might start to melt. And so I always tell people to do a practice run for sure. And then what I also tell them is if once they've achieved a look that they like, I always tell them as they go through auditions, if it's a look that has gotten positive feedback, you do that same thing the next time you step in front of them. And you do the same thing the next time you step in front of them so that they recognize you as having that look. Auditions is not the time to be trying different things week to week to week to week. So that's always my advice.
and hairography is what I call it.
Oh,
People that wear their hair in ponytails, which is always me in a bun on the top of my head, especially when I'm teaching. Dancing with your hair down is so much different. And you don't want to get caught mid pose or it stop on an eight or ending position and hair covering your face. And you have to figure that part out too. Yeah.
yeah,
And I
that's
think that
that's a talent.
sometimes yeah, I'm sorry. I think that sometimes kind of separates the amateur from the professional of, I have to make this look great on field. And when you're in an audition situation and it hits that ending pose and you're still like fidgeting, trying to figure out, what's going on with your hair, there's going to be wind. There's all kinds of different, you guys know, y'all both cheered through rain games. Yes. That's a big part of the outdoor and also indoors. Just even being NBA on court, you've got to figure out that hair when it's down and moving. And it's fun to watch it live and breathe. Buns and competition hair is wonderful, but letting the hair go and it just gives such uniqueness to each person. It's really fun to watch, but you got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I agree, Nicole, because I know a lot of the girls, they come straight out of, well, no longer studio because now they have to be 21, but like straight out of if they've been on a college dance team and they don't wear their hair like that. It's usually slicked back in a bow and they're not ready to dance with their hair free flowing. And and I do love to see the progression. Like it used to be, And it still is now that you can volunteer or whatever to do prelims or to do whatever. But I know when I've been to a couple of preliminary auditions or semis or whatever they are now, it's so interesting to see that progression of someone who has the absolute dance talent but cannot figure out what to do with the head. And then the next week, you're like, oh, she's almost got it. And then come final auditions, you're like, oh, she's got it. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. And I don't think people recognize that it's not just makeup and hair, it has a lot to do with the makeup and hair.
And also, you guys, when you think about all the routines that you've learned in your lifetime and all the material you have to maintain, continue, and perform at the top level, it's a lot of not only just hair and makeup, it's a mental thing too.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure that you have time management because you have a career outside of this extracurricular part-time thing that you still have a passion for. So it's a lot. And I'm just it's always such an honor to be around current girls that are living it because you have those moments where you're like, I get it. I understand. I've been there. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
And the
for sure.
material alone, I want to give a shout out to DeWanda Biddle and you too, Denise, you have a great memory too. But DeWanda can break out a black cat routine from 98 and know it from start to finish. And you're like, how do you remember that?
You know what's funny? I interviewed her last week, and I think she actually did some of the moves.
I bet she did. Black cat. Dun, 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 dun. Nice.
We kind of know it too.
We got it.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the hair definitely has a mind of its own, and it should have a mind of its own. It's how you work it. But I also think it makes it harder for women that have short hair, or have bobs, or have pixie cuts. They have to work extra harder.
So I have to say on the pixie cut, Jasmine, how many years in a row did you have a different hairstyle? Like Denise had the pixie look one year. I can see you in that one uniform. I've sent you a picture of that before. And she worked that hairstyle and it was so unique and different that you could spot it. There was another girl, Shannon, on our team who had so just a precious little, and hers was even shorter than yours. Yours was more of a bob here. So it's not all about this long flowing hair. It is when the team evolved, it definitely had so much different looks on the team that it wasn't a cookie cutter look. It was, I truly felt like they got to know us and what we stood for. And it was more about building a team of character, I mean, just amazing professions, of, working moms that had families, girls that were still in college that were, so it wasn't this cookie cutter image. It was just this, but going back to the hair, you always had amazing hairstyles, Denise. I always
Yeah.
loved from year to year. If you're like, can I have this haircut? I don't even need to see the picture. I will say yes because I know you are a woman of great style.
Yeah, I would that's what, my husband used to say. He wouldn't know where I was on the field until I always would kick my leg when we were like, go Panthers or whatever. He knew my walk and my leg kick, but he wasn't sure if he hadn't seen me from my last hair appointment, what I was gonna come out with because I'm not Jasmine, I'm not kidding. I was as dark as this, as my natural color, and then I was blonde, I was strawberry blonde, I was red, I was really long, mid-length, I had a bob. And I mean, it was like every year I tried to do something different just so
Yeah,
that it wasn't the same old, same old.
And you can ask them,
yeah,
how did it evolve? We used to have, like, when we made the team, we were contracted of that's how we looked when we were chosen. So we did not change hairstyle. We did not change hair color. If we did it, we had to ask management if that was acceptable. So yeah, that definitely evolved through the years. We always
yeah.
trusted Denise.
That's amazing. I think a lot of my teammates would change their hair too. I think I was one of those people that changed mine probably every year too, because I just wanted a new look and wanted to see how I showed up on the field. You can reinvent yourself through your hairstyles. What would you all say is one of your biggest lessons that you've taken away from your Top Cats experience? I know both of you went to Pro Bowl and you talked about how transformative that experience has been, but what else could you think of just in terms of just being a Top Cat, game days and practices and things like that?
There were so many.
There are so many. I mean, it really like, I was already a working person when I made the Top Cats. I had just gotten my master's degree, and so I had just started my very first, like, real corporate job, but I don't think I had the work ethic that I learned through the Top Cats. Like, I think that was one of the biggest things that changed me was it just taught me time management, responsibility, attitude towards others, being open to change. Also, something that I learned there was I always wanted to be the person that someone would come to. You know, I want to be that person that will help you. So I think that, all those things I got from being a top cat. And it makes me giggle sometimes when people kind of side eye professional cheerleaders because I don't think they recognize the deep lessons that you learn in situations like that. So, and I feel really lucky that I learned many, many lessons there.
Would agree with the numerous lessons. My biggest one, I think, that I can pinpoint at this moment is grace under pressure. There is so much pressure in a game day environment from timeouts to quarter changes to and keeping your head on a swivel and being prepared for anything. And in that, there is plan A, there's a backup plan, and there's a backup to the backup plan. Like you have to be ready for anything, but you have to keep this in check and always look like everything is scripted exactly as it is happening and that everything is coming across perfectly. I will tell you some of my greatest times in game days were listening to headset and on headset we're getting cues from booth and things don't always go as planned. And so if there were ever times where the girls would see me because I would go corner to corner, just bust out laughing, it's because something was being said on headset that was probably not, I don't want to say that it was ever inappropriate, but it was just kind of just like keep your head on a swivel. And it got to the point where you had to laugh or you would get frustrated because things sometimes didn't go as planned. And, you're waiting to hear cues if the girls can go on the field. You're waiting to hear music and is it counting out? And how do you count in to keep everyone in the four corners together? So game day was always interesting and grace under pressure and that's one thing that my girls will still to this day will say, Mom, you always remain so calm when there's chaos going on all around you. And I was like, those were my Panther days, girls.
And that's what I always say to Nicole too.
Yes.
She does her best work under pressure. I don't know how it feels inside of her, but you will never see it on the outside. She gets it done and it is top notch every time. So
I
that's
did tell her
it.
today that the cortisone levels that I experienced in my working years are coming back to haunt me.
Keep your head on a swivel. That's so true. Makes me wonder if anything has gone as planned on a game day for Top Cats. Probably not.
Say I don't think there was ever a game where there's not a switch because, it's run by NFL. And so, you have this whole script and then all of a sudden they want to do something else. And I think it was really hard too when we were in the earlier years because I'm not sure how it is now, but I feel like we performed more times in the field. We were always performing in the corners. Always, always, always. I mean, we would have games where you'd have to know 5 routines that you knew for sure you were doing, and then you'd have to know 4 backups for those routines, and there were games where we went through 9 routines and had to repeat. So, Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
it would be like all of a sudden we're doing, whatever this black hat. What? I mean, and it was not
Just
anywhere
like that.
that we were supposed to do it. So yeah, I think that's a lesson too. That's definitely a good lesson, Nick. It's grace under pressure and head on a swivel because you can't get complacent when you do NFL. You just
I
can't.
will tell you, came to me finally. Kyle Ritchie was in the headset, and he was such a comical person, but he ran a tight ship in that broadcasting booth and was an amazing game day producer. Um, and to that, Jasmine was part of the team. I want to say you were, Jasmine, the year that we went from performing 4 times in the end zone down to two. I will tell you, that was the hardest transition for me in all of my years coaching because I felt like I was fighting for you guys in the end zone. And it was because traditionally, and all of my tenure since 1996, every quarter break and 2-minute warning, TopCats were in the end zones. And so that was a hard transition for me. And that transition happened with ownership and when a different production company came in to run our game days the first couple. So that was a transition. And I think you guys saw that emotion for me in the locker room because I remembered like I
Yeah.
really were fighting for you guys to have that time in the end zone.
Yeah, I definitely remember that, and I think we kinda were like, "Wow, we only get to perform 2 times?" But I think down the line, yeah, it kinda hurt at first, but then we, appreciated it because we were like, "Wow, we can actually perfect these 2 dances and we don't have to stress as much."
It
Because
did relieve a lot of stress, I think.
yeah,
And I think
for
it
sure.
also allowed us to be even more creative with our sidelines, like, we would have
Mhm.
even more dances to perform, and I'm telling you, every time music came on, I was counting down. I was like, "These girls are dancing." And
Yeah,
so we got to a point where we were getting to dance for commercials. And so music commercial would come on, like if it was I don't wanna do push any product, but if something came on and it was like, "Do, do, do," and it was a defensive thing, we would have movement to that. So it allowed us to be creative in other ways. But yeah, I remember being so upset, but then I was like, "Oh, wow, I can breathe a minute," you know?
yeah,
I can breathe just a minute, and it was kinda nice.
yeah, and then don't let there be a halftime too. That was on top of 4 dances every quarter. Well, one dance every quarter, which is 4 games 4 dances a game, like, and then a halftime. That was a
And the
busy game.
And I tell you, we've had some amazing pre-games and halftime performances. And today, going through looking at different photos, I went down memory lane and I found a halftime cut of the Luke Combs performance before he became really
Yeah.
popular. And I'll never forget finding out he was going to be our halftime entertainment. And half of the girls on our team danced at App State and I said his name and they like fell out on the floor. And I was like, okay, you guys are excited. I'm glad. This is and just to see the artist that he is now
Yeah.
and the Panther fan and the way that he's given back to the Carolinas is just amazing. But just say we were one of his first performers
Yeah.
at Bank of America Stadium is a pretty exciting. And do you remember, Jasmine, when the song, I feel like it was the song that says, "When it rains, it pours," and all of a sudden, it's like the sky opened and just buckets of rain just
Yes.
came pouring down, so it was, like, perfect timing. The
Yeah, I remember that.
the
It was
theatrics.
magical.
It
yeah,
really was.
Such great moments and memories. So, both of you, I would imagine, would have had some insight into the judging process during auditions and just what judges are really looking for. Nicole, I know you have. Denise, believe you said that you've been able to participate during auditions or no?
no, I'm not in the judging piece. I'm
Okay.
I'm the girl you ask anybody, I will analyze.
But she'll write down numbers and match it up, and she is always on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot
Yeah.
of alumni do that too.
Yeah, it's crazy, and, I had to stop though because it started, like, getting a little, you know, questionable. I was getting a little manic about it. But no, so yeah, that question is definitely for Nicole. I've never had to be part of that
Yeah.
selection process. Thank goodness.
Okay. And I mean, as we all know, like, alumni is definitely part of it because, like Nicole said, they write down their numbers and send them in for consideration. But Nicole, just from being the coach and choreographer and running auditions during your tenure on the team, what do you think judges are really looking for hopefuls? And what should the hopefuls be training
I
to
think it's
improve?
the whole package. I think that standing out as just a dancer does not get you a spot on the team. I think it is how you interact with others. Are you coachable? We all make mistakes. Didn't I never came off the field on a game day that I performed and didn't question myself and go, where did I make that mistake? That I mean, you guys all know as soon as you walk in the locker room, if you had a mistake in game day, you know it. So it's going to happen. So I'm not looking for perfection. Am I was always looking for how do you recover? Is that something that's going to show on your face? Do you let it bother you and affect you? And all of a sudden it becomes a snowball and you can't regroup and get back, just to get back to what the expectation is as far as choreographically. When I speak of total package, the reality of being on a professional team is the requirements physically are demanding, and the nutrition and the physical fitness and the health side of it, both physically and mentally, are a huge portion of becoming a good team member. So I always like to look at it as a pie chart and or or a wheel, or are you giving everything to every area of that wheel so that it is a revolving in a way that keeps you afloat and makes you stand out, and you're not jagged in excelling in one area and not the other. So the total package is important. But in that total package, you find your strength. Is it your dance? Is it your physical fitness? How can you help others train, and are you sharing your knowledge while you're there? Like I really like to see, and team is so important to me, and how what you give back to your teammates is even more value than what you receive. And watching people during the audition process and making sure that they're going to be good teammates were always something that was important to me, because at the end of the day, you guys know the camaraderie in the locker room is vital. It helps you thrive. If is tension, it's a hard place to walk into. So you always want to look for the harmony, like who is bringing the harmony to the team. And when you have a whole entire group that's doing that and putting others before themselves, that's what that's where the magic happens. And that's all of a sudden you can be on the field and music stop playing, and you still keep going because you guys are on rhythm together. You just get each other, and you can just keep moving without music. You just start counting. The whole package is
Yes.
so important. And
Yes.
and and part of that package is the appearance side. Do you have a heart for the community? The community piece is always so huge. You've got to give back. That's really vital too.
I would say too, not that I've ever had to be part of the choosing, but watching for so many years who has been chosen, I think preparedness is huge. For instance, you're gonna get a question about football. You need to know about football. Even if you just memorized it for that day, just know football, you know? Or, you need to practice the way you speak in front of people. Yes, you're standing there by yourself with a microphone and they're gonna ask you, I don't know what, but you need to know how to present yourself in a way that you look polished and yet welcoming, and like you know what you're talking about. Even if you completely throw out a pageant answer, you still look like and sound like you know what you're talking about. And where the dance piece comes in for me, a girl will draw my eye immediately if she's looking like she's having fun. And I say this all the time about Allison Armstrong. I could find her anywhere on,
Love her. Yes.
and
That bounce. I
that
love it.
that's what it is. She's got this joy in her that just comes out. And when the girls are auditioning, and I know it's hard because you're terrified and you're nervous and you want to make sure you do everything right. And is that girl prettier than you? Or does she have more of a technique than you? And it's all so much to think about. Really, when I've looked back at the girls that have been selected, it's usually been girls that I drew to just based on the fact that they looked like they wanted to be there and they were really having a good time and giving it their all to obtain.
And I think what too, when a girl is searching for how she stands out, you mentioned Allison. Allison had this energy, bubbly personality, joyful, just love to watch her dance. And so she brought that energy. But you may have someone whose personality is a little bit more soft and relaxed and laid back. And they're more of a move and shake, and they've got this a glam look. So you have to identify your personality and don't try to match someone else.
Right.
Like
Don't somebody
figure
else.
out your personality and what you want to be when you walk in that door, but it can't be fake. It's got to be genuine. You've got to know, okay, what is my personality? Am I laid back or am I bubbly? Like, and match who you are. Bring what you are. And that I think that authenticity shines through every time.
That's it, Nicole. That's the word. Perfect word. Authenticity. Absolutely. I mean, because you will have girls that, like, I've had a couple of girls say to me, "Well, I need to get extensions because the top cats have long hair." And I'm like, seriously, that's not going to get you on the team, you know? And so you don't ever want to change your personality or change who you are to match someone else. I mean, you want to blend, I guess you would say, and stand out all at the same time of your own talents and the look you give and the joy that you bring out. Nicole is right. You don't have to be bubbly bouncy. You might be a more demure dancer that is the shaky the palm, but it's all up in here, you know. So I think Nicole, that was absolutely cool. You just have to know who you are and use that to your advantage to show people who you are.
And you said be prepared. I think that's being prepared. And if you're still questioning walking into auditions who you are, you got to sit down and really identify what that is, put it on paper and say this is who I am. Is it I'm a loyal friend? Is it I am a have my precision and technique is amazing. It's like identify it all so that you go in your full self and you can give your whole self to what you're doing.
Yeah, that was such great advice from both of you. Be authentically you. Don't try to be anybody else. I love that. And I like that exercise, Nicole, to write it down so you can see it on paper. That's a really cool exercise. What are each of you aspiring to, if anything, in your life right now?
Live to the to the next day.
I know,
You
right?
know, as I will say, Denise can identify as a mom. Motherhood is probably, not even probably, is one of the greatest joys that life could give you. And so
And
being
hard and this job.
and hard. So being the best mother and wife that I can be for my family is my daily goal. That is, before feet hit the ground, my prayer is for me to be my best self. And every day brings different challenges, but it also brings so much joy that you can, you're living life for others. While I think there is a fine line between also making sure that you're true to self and I get my workouts in, I get my devotional time. I find things that I still am passionate about, I still do, and my family respects my time. Like my two beautiful daughters just walked in and they're sitting over doing homework. They just came in from ballet, and I've sent a text, be quiet coming in. I think they have lived and grew up when I was coaching, so they know the demands of that. So being able to show them that type of work ethic, but to also be able to give everything I have back to them and still be me. I still teach dance to young girls, and that's very important to me to give my love for dance back into them. So once again, trying to find a well-rounded life each day, each day trying to make the circle complete.
I would echo what Nicole said too, because I mean, not to age us, but we're at an age where the simple things are the important things, and those things are our families and our friends. And I think every day before I go to sleep, I think to myself, who did I help today? And it could be the tiniest little thing. Could just be tiny. It could just be telling the girl in line at Walgreens that I like her blazer. But something I want to do something every day so that I help someone just a little bit. And I always want to do that. And I'm very lucky that now I have a new aspiration because of our friend Nicole. Was the one who brought to my attention that where she teaches dance needed another dance teacher. And so now I also teach dance and get to share my love of dance to the young generation. And it's been just the best thing. It's just, I look forward to going. I love when I'm there. I feel like I did something when I left. So, so I aspire to just keep doing that and sharing my love of dance with the next group of girls walking in.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. That's exciting. I will always end with this question because it's part of my it's the name of my podcast, The Imperfect Cheerleader. So I want to know from each of you, how are you imperfect?
Do we have another hour?
Trying to say, I'm imperfect in so many ways. And Nicole knows this about me. Um, I'm very hard on myself. I'm very, very self-critical. I'm always wondering, should I have done this? Should I have done that better? Could I have done this? Could I have done that better? But again, at the age that I am, I try really, really hard to give myself grace, um, and just recognize that my imperfection is who makes me who I am. And imperfection's not always a bad thing. So I just try to roll with it the best I can at this point.
I too will echo on the critical side of things. I think when we grow up in a world where a huge portion of our lives are lived through an audition and a weekly evaluation, and sometimes that weekly evaluation can be physical scale, and that part of life of judging yourself and a little too harshly. And I will say from a personal note, I love cleanliness, and I will say when I had children, toys always kind of were everywhere, and I let that lifestyle go and realized that you have to stop and enjoy the time that you have, and sit in the moment. I have a senior that's going to be going to college, so that I'm grateful for the times when I let the messiness just be okay. Uh, and as so critical, but I kind of got to the point in life where I let that go. Now, my teenage daughters over here are probably going, but you make us have our room clean every day. Yes, you're learning life skills through the moments. But, far as being imperfect, that's something that we all have to look inwardly each day. And at the end of the day, be okay and love the person that we are. And sometimes being your own critic can help you in ways that you overcome things, but also you have to make sure that you're being kind to yourself. So that's something that I struggle with. And I make sure each day that I'm not taking a spiraling thought and allowing it to evolve to something that may not be good for me.
Yeah, I love both of those answers. I do wanna end with some quick rapid fire questions. So I didn't send you these in advance, but they're just quick answers that you give, and there might be either or
Okay.
questions. Ready? Okay. So the first one is, do you get game day butterflies or are you in total lock-in mode?
Butterflies every
Fly. At 10 years every time, 100 games every time.
I try to
Wow.
tell my kids it means you're getting ready to do something amazing. So
Yeah.
channel the
Great.
butterflies in a different way.
That's a good way to channel it. Yeah. What is your favorite sideline memory at Bank of America Stadium or Ericsson Stadium?
We are the champions. Green Bay. No, Green Bay was away. When did
Yeah.
we Chad Coda in the end zone, Denise? What was that game?
Was it Dallas?
That was another one.
That
That
was
Dallas playoff
our
game was
first year
amazing.
when we won? Back when we were the NFC West.
West. Yes. That
What?
was it. That was it.
Yeah, we were the NFC West.
That makes no sense to me,
But
but
I will tell you, not the stadium, but Super Bowl 38.
Oh,
Will tell you that whole day, I've never been more proud to be a part of the Top Cats than
that was
watching that group of girls perform.
yeah.
Um, it it was a even though we did not win that Super Bowl. I'm not going to go in that direction, but the pride I felt for the girls on that team, like, it was just amazing. I can think of the in the zone stomp at that pregame pep rally. I mean, the hair on the top of my head was standing up. I was just like the electricity and just the excitement. Okay, this is rapid fire. I'm going on. Sorry. Sorry.
it's A-okay. I love it. I love it. Rapid fire never is rapid, I'll just say that.
Leslie teaching me to play to be by the rules is not working right now. I need to lock in.
What would you say is the hardest part of audition season?
Watching someone not make a team. That's
Yeah,
that
I would say that, watching someone not make this.
Yeah.
And you guys know, I mean, sometimes this is a dream for so many people, and crushing someone's dreams is probably one of the hardest things through all of my years. That's something, and I literally for quite a number of years, I had such heartache. I don't want to say depression or anything like that because that's a very serious topic, but I would really get into my feelings about people. And a lot of times it was people who may have been cut who were part of the team who you just grew to love so much, and a decision had to be made, and that's what always got me. That was the hardest part for me.
Yeah, for me, it was, yeah, girls been on the team that got cut, but also girls that repeatedly audition and you keep hoping for them, this is gonna be their year, and it doesn't come, and you just I mean, it's just heartbreaking to see that because
Yeah.
you want them to feel the joy that, we've all felt at that one time.
And you know what it feels like too. What's one move or moment that will always hype up the crowd or always hyped up the crowd?
Oh, I'll tell you, rain.
That's for sure.
We had some hard rain games. Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you, our fans like nothing better than a rainy Top Cat. Is
We
It makes for good pictures though, really
they
good pictures.
do though.
oh,
They love a rainy Top Cat. They
in a
do.
rain night and the night, the way that the lights would hit
Yeah.
the
Yes.
raindrops, there's some beautiful photography that has come out of that. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we used to have a fight song. Hip Hop Hooray was used to be I think, our original fight song, I think. No, it was P A, because me and Crystal Crystal could never spell Panthers right. But I too think the hype music in the stadium is when we're winning and it is exciting is always lifts the crowd. I can't think of another one.
Awesome. What's the most underrated skill it takes to be a top cat?
Management. Is that a skill?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Let me think. Most underrated. That's good, Nicole.
How not to run pantyhose between halves.
Yeah, that's
I wish I
Real.
knew how many pair of tights I have
Oh my
gone through
gosh.
as a
or
professional dancer.
gotta keep your bra strap intact. We gotta keep it so it's not
Use those pins, ladies.
use the
Safety
pin.
The
pins.
trick of not exposing the pin through the material on your uniform so that you have a
Exactly.
visible silver metal piece coming out with
Yes.
Yes.
some beautiful lycra.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Sometimes you have to sew in stuff if you
Well,
can,
yeah,
I
if you're
sewed
allowed
in
to.
our second year uniform. I
you
had
did.
sew-in stuff.
Crisscross one, mine was sewn in.
And last question, what is one word to describe your Top Cats era?
Grateful.
Oh, unforgettable.
I love that. Thank you, ladies, so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you for allowing this platform to give back to Top Cats who really want to share memories. And thank you for that because 30 years is a long time. Cheers to the organization and the longevity of it that we were fortunate to be a part of, all of us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for paving the way. I'll have to say that.
Such a great time.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Taking the time to listen while you're busy with all of life's responsibilities means the world to me. If you enjoyed this episode, here are a few ways you can support ICP. Number 1, hit the subscribe button so you always get newly released episodes and never miss them. Number 2, take a screenshot of the episode you listened to and tag at the professional cheerleader on Instagram. I love to repost your tags and shout you out on stories. And number 3, write a review on Apple Podcasts. This is the best way to show your support for the podcast and helps bring us even more guests, interviews, and topics. I hope you have a wonderful day and continue to work towards your goals of becoming a professional cheerleader, dancer, or someone who just loves to move, honey. I'll see you next time on another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Bye for now.